my biggest fundamental for success in this quarter in affiliates is to plan early. It's incredibly competitive period. So if you know that you're going to have a big offer, or you know that you're going to have a big launch or something that you want to push, the earlier you think about when that's going to be and the partners you like to work with, the better, because it gets competitive and everything will get booked up and you might be disappointed with the exposure you can get. I would also think about any partners that you really want to work with and recruiting them as early as possible within the quarter. Affiliates, in the same way that we get very busy during this period, also get really busy. And some of them might have a freeze on onboarding a new partner or have a long onboarding queue, for example. So if you're really keen that you think maybe I want to work with that new CSS, for example, you want to kind of do that early and think about it early. Definitely for this period, think about your budgets. In the same way it's competitive to actually get the exposure, it's also potentially going to come a bit more of a premium than other periods. And you might find partners slightly less flexible to do deals and offers. They still can be if you've got an incredibly strong offer that you're going out with. But do think about the fact that you might have to spend that little bit more to get the exposure you want. And also, I really think that although Black Friday and that November period is the big one, do you think about the whole quarter as well? There's a lot of touch points with customers throughout the quarter. And that can be just from other key shopping dates, like the things like Singles Day, for example, and gift guides that can happen a little bit earlier. But also think about your dates as well. Like, when is it likely that your last shipping date is going to be, for example, because that can be a very key message to build into affiliates. Think about any big launches you've got. When does your gifting launch? And really plan that period around all those touch points that a customer could potentially have with your brand. In affiliates, we would typically say that affiliate program takes up to about 10 to 15% of your digital kind of channel marketing mix. Some of that will be a bit dependent on the maturity of your program, but having a look at what your affiliates is contributing at the moment can give you a good gauge about how far off you are from that and how much potential there might be within this channel still for you to achieve. In affiliate terms, November is usually, as it is for most retailers, but November is usually a massive month. So if you're not seeing that peak and that uplift in the channel in November, I'd be thinking about potentially reasons why and why you're not seeing that uplift. Is it the partners that you're working with? Is it the offers you're putting out there? Is it how prepared you are for the quarter? And if you're really looking to book early and really make the most of it, because you should be able to see that really key uplift during that time. I would say some kind of, softer ways of measuring the quarter is, personally, I think making sure you have a really good mix throughout that period of partners you work with and activity you achieve. If you put your entirety of your, eggs in one basket for one day, you could really miss out on some other key times that are huge within the channel, like Singles Day, like gifting, like last delivery date. So really think about the period as a whole, because actually having a balanced activity throughout it, I think means that you've had a successful quarter, because then you've got the ability to talk to lots and lots of different customers throughout that time period. And good should also meet your business KPIs. We do talk to retailers who maybe don't have such deep margins on products, or maybe have tighter margins on products, and feel like it's a struggle to engage around Black Friday when everyone is doing deeper discounts. If good for you as a retailer doesn't look like doing 20% of everything because it's going to hit your margin too hard, you can still think about other ways to engage with those partners. Looking at things like spend and save offers can be a really good way around that, because you can be looking to drive an average order value, still have an offer in market, but without maybe taking quite such a deep hit on the margins that a blanket offer might do. And yes, maybe it might not have that huge impact or volume that a 20% offer does. But at the end of the day, if it really works with your margins, you still see an uplift and you don't have to give away as much of your own profit. That would, to me, still feel like it's a successful measure of that time period. I think, as we would all expect, more retailers have gone online. So it's going to be a busy space, I imagine, and a competitive space. I've already talked about that in affiliates, it tends to be quite competitive anyway. But I think if you've got more retailers focusing their budgets online, potentially this year, you're going to experience a lot more people booking, maybe a lot more offers, and actually potentially places and placements getting booked up earlier within the quarter. So just definitely expect it to be maybe a little bit of a noisier space overall. Awin saw that in 2020 last year in November, that customers actually shopped a lot earlier within November, around the 4th versus the 20th the year before. So I'd expect to see potentially that shopping to be starting earlier, customers to be looking earlier, customers to be looking at deals earlier. And actually you might see retailers bringing their offers forward earlier, or having an offer earlier in the month and an even deeper one later in the month. So it's becoming much more about a period rather than a day, a weekend, or a week. A lot of brands might be experiencing fulfillment issues during this period as well. That could create two different challenges depending on what side of those fulfillment and delivery issues that you are on. I've already seen this impact some industries already, and it's likely that's probably going to continue throughout this period with delivery dates. If you're a retailer who's likely to experience those delays, it's probably good to think about that narrative within your messaging and to think about when those last delivery dates for you are likely to be, and to ensure that you're building that into your marketing, your messaging, and what you actually have present on affiliate sites, to make sure that your customers know when to purchase. They purchase you within plenty of time, but also that you're not creating any disappointment or fulfillment challenges for yourself. But equally, if you're a retailer that is in a very strong fulfillment position, is potentially going to have a much later in the December month last delivery date, really maximize on that and make the most of it, and make sure that that is a key part of your messaging. The fact that you are going to be able to deliver up to X date is a fundamental part of what you're putting out there during that period, because it really could help to differentiate yourself. I also feel like this year, as well, as we're able to be out and about again, and face-to-face Christmas parties are going to be a thing, and just parties in general are going to be a thing, and going out, that the mix of products will be back to what we might typically see around a Christmas period, with people wanting to buy themselves new outfits, new shoes, whatever it is during that period. That's much more about the customer maybe buying them for themselves as well as gifting. And you might find actually after a year of maybe where we were at home and it was much more about loungewear, people are actually spending much more on themselves and making sure that they are really indulging and making the most of this quarter for themselves personally. And that's where things like Singles Day might come into play, because it's very much about celebrating, gifting for yourself. But I think it will just be a general trend throughout the period, that it's not just going to be solely gifting that's going to win out during this Q4 for many retailers. I think affiliate marketing is becoming a lot more accessible for a lot of brands. It's not to say that it wasn't always accessible, but sometimes things like longer contract periods with a network could mean that for a new channel that as a brand you wanted to dip your toe in, it could feel like a big commitment before you thought about how it could actually work for you and if it was going to be a potential success. A lot of networks like Awin have propositions like Awin Access, which make it much easier to start an affiliate program with shorter contract periods and maybe a little bit more of a streamlined initial integration to enable you to test the mechanism, test the process for yourselves, with maybe not the commitment that you might have originally seen when working with a network. I would say you still, if you're looking to do it for this quarter or looking to do it anytime soon in preparation for the peak period, it's really important that you have to think about moving incredibly fast now, because you will have to do some level of technical integration on your own site. Even if it's quite a basic tag for a startup program, you do need to do some tech work and then get affiliates onboarded. We typically say that it takes affiliate program like 6 to 12 months to really build and get into that flow and get those partners established. So if you are looking to make an impact for this quarter, you are probably going to have to take an approach of working on a smaller scale with a few select partners and trying to really focus on getting those onboarded quickly, and maybe thinking more longer term ahead to optimizing into next year and maybe the sale period in January. When you're launching your affiliate program, try and keep things simple at the start, having one network to really ease the flow of communication and essentially one channel to manage. Also, if you're looking at launching, do a bit of research to see which other brands are in the market, what they look like they're offering. A great way of doing this can be looking at a cashback site, for example, like Top Cashback. That can give you a really visible and open way of seeing what your competitors are, which competitors are doing affiliate marketing, what their rough cashback rates look like, and that can give you a steer about if there's a market out there for your brand and your product as well. So Singles Day might be a shopping event in the calendar that you maybe as a brand haven't heard of. It's actually an event that has originated mainly from China, and it takes place on 11/11, so the 11th of November, so 1111, which ties into the idea of it being around Singles Day. It's very much about people purchasing for themselves and brands offering discounts or offers that really encourage customers to treat themselves to maybe something they've been looking at or a brand that they really love. It's definitely become quite a key part in other markets now, particularly in like the UK and US, for example, where there's big sites like the likes of Deal Moon that are very much targeted to engaging with that expat Chinese community that are also living over here within the UK in the US. It's very much about working with influencers via those platforms that are very engaged within those communities, and also using social channels like Weibo, for example, that also have a really great cut through with those customers. These are very much the fundamentals of what we would be considering over this quarter in relation to affiliates for our clients' activities. There's always a lot more detail, a lot more complexity, and a lot more tailoring for certain brands and sectors. But really, following these principles should help you on the course to having a much better and hopefully very successful Q4 within the channel. But if you had any other questions at all about this period for affiliates, please just do drop a comment below.